Let's talk about the cost to get second citizenship. I'm not talking about how much money that you have to invest or what donation you have to make or what the fees payable to the embassy are. I'm talking about the actual back end cost. And this is something that I think a lot of people overlook when they're looking at, for example, a citizenship by investment program. They'll say, hey, make a $100,000 donation, get citizenship. That's all I've got to pay. And in reality, every type of citizenship is going to have some kind of back end fee, hidden fee, legal fee. Today, we're going to go through all of them. Hey guys, I'm Andrew Henderson, and here at Nomad Capitalist, we help 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors legally go where they're treated best, not only with second passports, second residences, buying homes overseas, but also legally reducing their taxes offshore, investing in new markets. You can learn more at nomadcapitalist.com. And this is an area that I think a lot of people are confused about. What are the costs of getting a second citizenship? Now, again, the front end cost is what does it take to qualify, okay? And so, let's say you're looking at a golden visa program, for example, Portugal, Spain, whatever it may be. There's an investment, 350,000 euros. That's what you are actually investing. Or in the case of a Caribbean citizenship by investment, $100,000 donation. That's the front end fee. But there are going to be back end fees for all of these. And so they could range from mere peanuts, literally, $1, $10, something like that, up to close to $1 million. This is something that I think a lot of people who are looking at some of the higher end programs don't necessarily understand. But let's start with the two cheaper options, and then we'll work our way up from there. So probably the cheapest way, if not necessarily the fastest, is citizenship by descent. If you have an ancestor, a parent, a grandparent, a great-grandparent in your family tree, you may qualify for citizenship by descent. Now, some of these programs are relatively fast. We helped a number of people who have British parents. They didn't even realize they qualified for British citizenship, and the process is pretty simple and it's pretty fast. What's not going to be nearly as fast is if you have a Hungarian great-grandparent. And so the cost for these is probably pretty minimal. There are a couple that have, they get into like $1,000 or something for the filing fees. But the challenge is the front end work on making sure that you qualify. So again, if it's just your parent, and especially if it's an English-speaking country or a pretty developed country, that's pretty easy. The challenge, though, is hiring Nomad Capitalist, hiring an attorney, hiring whomever to go and collect your documents. I've got a friend right now who qualifies for Romanian citizenship, and he's been hunting for about 2.5 years, looking through records in various city halls where his ancestors were from. And so there's either a cost of you going there and hunting all over the country, or you outsource it. We've started this service recently, and we're testing it out on a limited time basis. We may continue it. And we have people all around the world that we've worked with for our main business in going and finding these records. It can sometimes take years, and again, the longer it takes, the more that you're going to pay someone to be, going around the National Archives. So it's hard to put a price on that. It's probably going to be in the thousands of dollars. May in some cases where it's really difficult get into the low 5 figures. Not a great deal considering most citizenship by descent passports are pretty high quality passports. Now, the second option is residence. Now, we often talk about paper residence here, which is where you go to a country, you get a residence permit by proving income, investing in bonds, buying real estate, whatever the case may be, but you don't actually have to live there. So obviously in most countries like the United States or Germany or Australia, they don't simply give citizenship to someone unless you've lived there for 6 or 9 or 10 months a year for the whole period of your leading up to naturalization. However, there are some countries, which we don't always talk about here because they don't want the publicity. That's what causes the programs to become more difficult. But there are programs where you can go and simply set up residence, make your qualified investment, and then spend a day, a week, whatever it may be, every year for 2, 3, 5, 7 years, and then come back and collect your passport. Now, the risk with these, there's certainly a risk cost in that they may change the rules in that time. They may say, you know what, now you got to spend 6 months a year here, and if you don't want to spend that time, now you just have a residence permit, which could be helpful in and of itself. But what is the cost for these? Well, it's the legal fees to set it up, and it depends on the kind of country that you're looking at. So, in some cheaper countries, could be a couple grand. assuming that you're using a service like ours or a higher level legal law firm where a lot of the work is being done for you. You're not running around to 18 different offices. Obviously, that would be cheaper, but it could range up to some of these residence programs that lead to citizenship, particularly in Europe or some of the really developed places. Could be into the mid 5 figures to set up residence in some of these countries, and so certainly the higher level the country is, the more you're going to pay. Let's talk about citizenship by investment. Again, we've all seen this. Dominica, St. Lucia, donate $100,000. What people don't realize is these programs have fees on the back end. You're going to pay a service fee for someone to do the work. Obviously, some companies do more work than others. I've had people come to me and say, I paid a lower fee, and I basically got an agent who just passed messages between me and the government, and they added no value. So you could get that for a lower fee. You could hire a more premium firm as an alternative. So those fees, of course, are going to be variable, but they're going to be somewhere likely in the 5 figures. Then you've got due diligence fees for any adult or even older children. You've got sometimes bank fees, you've got passport fees, you've got rush fees. Each program has different kinds of fees. And so those are going to be payable on top. And so, we had a family of 7 people recently, and the fee for citizenship by investment, it was close to 6 figures. And so again, each nationality is going to be different. If we've got to go and hunt down documents in multiple different countries, there might be a greater cost for that. Obviously, if the goal is to do it faster, having professional help is more important. You've seen on this channel people who've said it took me 15 months to get St. Kitts citizenship, whereas we just got someone's citizenship in the Caribbean in 4 months, from the time we started collecting the documents until they got the approval letter. So, time may be money in that case, but there certainly are a number of additional fees to be paid, and those fees are going to go to local agents that are required to be on the ground. They may go to international agents, and so those are the additional fees for citizenship by investment. Now, the most expensive type of citizenship to get in many cases is what we call fast-track naturalization, where, for example, someone came to me and said, I was in the hotel business, and I just sold all my hotels, and I'm flush with cash, and I'd like to get a second passport. Well, okay. There are law firms in developed countries and less developed countries too, where they will know, hey, our country in this region, they're looking for people to go and build a hotel, or they're looking for somebody to come and start a green energy business and hire 20 people, or they're looking for someone to take over troubled companies. Maybe there's a factory that's about to shut down, and the local province really wants it to be kept afloat and keep those 100 jobs and look like a hero. And so you can work with these law firms. Now again, this is not cash in an envelope kind of deal. This is a very methodical, following the law, constitutional process of, if the minister or the governor, if you work with them and they give you an approval and you make the investment, they send that up to the prime minister, send that up to the president, you can be granted citizenship. Some of these programs could cost, hundreds of thousands of dollars just in fees. Some of them could cost in the high 6 figures to get your entire family naturalized, because there's so many things. It's not just citizenship by investment. It is, you need to go and meet the right people. You need to, do the right things. You need to have, all the right signatures. Again, you can go on Instagram and find some guy who just lets you, give him 20 grand in cash and he'll give you a passport back in a manila envelope. You don't want to do that. We're talking about very legal, proper processes following the law. And so while you may find a less developed country offering that for a lower price, again, some of the best ones will literally cost you over $500,000. And so I think it's worth putting in perspective, right? We have people who come to us who are Westerners, for whom the idea of obtaining a second citizenship is very intriguing, but they look at $100,000 and they already kind of feel like, well, I'm American or I'm British. I already have a good passport. Why is it so much? And then they hear there's fees. I think understanding that legal fees in this area, there aren't that many people who do it. Now, some of the Caribbean islands, there are a number of agents. Many of them are on island time and they're not that reliable, or they do a small number of cases. But this is still a relatively niche area. You want to find someone who's good at it. And so if you're looking at a Caribbean program and you're looking at, somewhere in the mid 5 figures in fees for your family, and you might feel better if you compare that to $500,000 in fees for your family. And so I think, understanding the role that fees play is important. Certainly options that take longer are going to have lower fees. people are willing to pay a premium for speed, whether it's because they want to renounce their current citizenship to save on taxes, or whether it's because they're a Chinese businessman who can't travel and is tired of getting visas to go places all the time and they're just losing out on business. People are willing to pay more for speed, and those options have certainly baked in higher fees. Whereas if you're going to just a traditional country and just signing up to become a resident, those programs that aren't as streamlined, that take longer, that aren't from as wealthy of countries, if you go to Colombia, for example, or if you go to Mexico, or if you go to Malaysia, those residence programs are going to be a lot more affordable than the ones where they know you're on a path to citizenship, you're getting it quickly. So you want to keep in mind the fees. How can Nomad Capitalist help you? 4 ways. Number 1, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to make sure you get our new video every day. Number 2, get a copy of Nomad Capitalist, the book. You'll learn a lot of my personal experiences over a dozen years of studying this stuff, as well as exactly some of the strategies that you can use to build your Nomad Capitalist plan. Number 3, if you're not sure where to start, but you want to come and learn from my team and I, you want to come and mingle with like-minded people, learn more about our live conference, Nomad Capitalist Live. It's coming up soon. And number 4, if you want some help right now because you've got a burning issue, you need something solved, you want to lower your taxes, get a second passport, or build the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle of your dreams, go to nomadcapitalist.com and click on Become a Client.